the sun in the palm of my hand.
What is going on, everybody? It has been a minute, and I'm not exactly sure how to start this video, except I finally got a Steam Deck. The 256 gigabyte model, to be exact. And I do not regret it because there are so many update files for the Steam Deck. The update files alone on my 256 gig took around 20 gigabytes, but not only that, the SSD is fast, significantly faster than some SD cards out there. But yes, I finally got the Steam Deck, the Switch's big competitor or alternative AAA handheld console. And I've got to say, this thing is pretty dangerous. If you want a perfect reference to how different the graphics are on the Steam Deck opposed to the Nintendo Switch, just play Metro 2033. You think it looks really good on Nintendo Switch, and then you play it on the Steam Deck and realize what real power is.
To have power, unlimited power, and then to be reminded what real power is.
So yes, the Steam Deck is extremely powerful, surprisingly powerful sometimes. Like playing Devil May Cry 5, it plays it perfectly. There's no issues at 60 FPS. It lasts about 2.5 hours, and that's 60 FPS. On 30 FPS, it adds another hour, which is a good amount of time for anybody. With games like Arkham City, which I've always wanted to play on a handheld.
The hell are you supposed to be? I'm vengeance.
As much as Resident Evil 4, the Steam Deck lasts 4.5 hours, 60 FPS. That's crazy. This thing is a powerhouse, okay? The definition of a powerhouse. It is so satisfying to play this thing. You can get your favorite games on the go with a decent battery. The future is officially here because that's just ridiculous. A lot of people are making God of War and Elden Ring references, but I didn't get those for PC yet. I just have games like Arkham Knight, Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2 and 3, Village, and play so well. Right now, the only issue that Steam Deck is having, in my opinion, is the fact that yes, it is still a PC, 100% a PC, meaning that one day your game just won't start, and so you'll have to reboot the system so it can start. The reliability is a lot less than a console, which means 1 out of, say, 8 or 10 times, something's gonna go wrong with your game. If you're downloading while playing a game, something is definitely going to go wrong, especially if you're using an SD card to play an entire game like Devil May Cry 5 while downloading a 50 gigabyte game. It's just way too stressful for a slower SD card. For SD cards like SanDisk Extreme, it's no problem. For SanDisk Ultra, like the one I have, which the only reason is because it was pretty cheap, it's kind of difficult for that SD card to multitask. But it still plays the games so dang well. As soon as it loads, it's 60 frames right away. There's no skips or sacrifices, but try not to go too cheap, because I'm pretty sure it'll fry something if you do too much on it. But this has got to be the most impressive handheld I've ever used. Hands down, full stop. It blew me away. And I thought the Nintendo Switch blew me away before, but this one is so cool. The future for it is infinite, and it's been proven to have such big potential. And you could bring it anywhere you want. It could fit in your pocket. It could connect to a television. That's something else that isn't quite ready yet. I'm not sure if it's just my system alone or the fact that I have a screen protector on it, but for some reason when I try to play verified games on the TV, my wireless controller doesn't work, and I try to use the Nintendo Switch Pro controller just because the battery life on that is godlike. And for some reason while trying to play the Phantom Pain or Resident Evil 2, the controller just doesn't respond sometimes with Resident Evil 2, but most of the time, if not all the time, with the Phantom Pain, or just randomly turns off. I'm not sure if the touchscreen is being messed with the screen protector, or if it's a software update thing. but especially for the fact that you can't really go a higher resolution yet. You can only go up to 800p, which on some TVs looks a little weird. So you have to bring it down to 720p so it can fit on the screen. So that whole give and take of handheld and TV mode and verified games not working quite right on a USB dongle is a little jarring sometimes, and most of the time I prefer not to connect the Steam Deck to the TV, which is a letdown because that was such a fun aspect of the Nintendo Switch, the fact that you could just go back and forth whenever you wanted and it was seamless. This is definitely not seamless. It is kind of a chore sometimes. So that's another downside, the first 2 months that it came out. And of course, I would say, yeah, the battery life is a little disappointing, but it's realistically very good. There's no way you're going to play games like Devil May Cry 5 on a screen like that and get exceptional battery life unless you cut costs and cut a lot of graphical options like the Nintendo Switch versions of the game did. Then yes, if you're playing the full versions of those games without limitations, then of course the battery's gonna go from very good to not so good. And most of the time it's just not so good. It's not bad. It's not like you're playing a game and it's only 45 minutes and it's draining the battery every 2 seconds. Most of the time it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours from full charge. But with firmware updates, I'm pretty sure that will be ironed out. And the huge conversation starter is, do I prefer the Nintendo Switch or the Steam Deck after a week? Surprisingly, it's a little bit of both. I'm paying more attention to the Steam Deck because it can play my absolute favorite games of all time, but I'm starting to appreciate the Nintendo Switch a little more because of the battery life and the size of it. It's definitely a lot more portable than the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is massive. If I put both of my legs together and just lay it on my lap, it's going to be wider, if not the same size as my lap. The thing is extremely long, to the point it can swallow a Nintendo Switch whole. The case that came with it can hold probably 4 Nintendo Switches. It is a massive system, and I put a cover on it so it's a little more comfortable, but because the cover is silicone, it's a little more heavy now, and it looks that much more bigger. So yes, it is a powerhouse, and it's very comfortable to hold. I have no complaints. At first, maybe there was a little bit of just getting used to the trackpads being right there where buttons and analogs used to be, and just moving my hand a little further up, but I got used to it very fast. It took about just 2 days to fully get used to that. The trackpads, on the other hand, because they're an extra feature, I don't really have real complaints. As a mouse, it's okay. As a D-pad, I prefer not to use it. But for some games, instead of using the stupid gyroscope, which it has a great gyroscope inside, just like Nintendo Switch, but I don't like gyroscope that much. I don't like relying on it to play my games, because I'm not used to doing that with console games or PC games. So to use that trackpad to get a more fine aim in there, like with Sniper Elite 4, it adds a lot more accuracy and intricacy to your gameplay, especially if you're playing games like Doom Eternal. So the trackpad does have a function and a purpose. For most games, it's not for everyone, and it doesn't really have a purpose. But because you're dealing with PC games, it is essential to get past some of those playable to unknown games that have in-game menus, which the only way to get past them is either the touchscreen or the trackpad if you're playing in handheld, or an actual mouse. So with that feature, it's a little bit of both good and bad, essential and useless. And that's essentially what a PC is. Sometimes it's completely useless, sometimes it's the best thing you'll ever use. A PC is anything it can be, and that's exactly what the Steam Deck is. It's anything it can be. Either it has the greatest potential that any handheld has ever had in history, which it is, or it just can't play some games that you really wanted it to play. But because it is a focused platform, it will get that much needed support from Valve. So we could count on it getting better, and that makes me hopeful for the future. That makes me hopeful for a lot of games that are going to come out, and hundreds of games come out every month, and Valve still has a lot of games in their backlog to look at. So it's going to take a little while for some people to get the games they really want on the system, but for the most part, a lot of really great console games, more popular on consoles, work on the Steam Deck pretty flawlessly. But would I give up my Nintendo Switch for a Steam Deck if I had a choice? In a heartbeat, yes, because the Steam Deck is a lot more rare and has a lot more potential than the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch, I feel like all Nintendo does every year is think to themselves, what is going to work on our system today or in a few months if we optimize it enough? What games are not as demanding to work on our system? Oh, let's pick Star Wars The Force Unleashed for the Wii. That's probably going to work. So when they announce things, it's so random, and it's obvious that they're only picking things based on if it's actually going to work on the system. That's why a lot of ports to the Switch come out of the farthest depths of left field, because Nintendo, if they had a choice, they would just put Elden Ring on there, just like the Steam Deck. It would just be a matter of popularity to them if they could put a good game on the Switch, or a game of their choice, or the people's choice, but they can't. So Nintendo is going to have a lot of random games coming to the Switch in the next year. It's probably not going to be the games that we're looking forward to or the games that we're talking about now. With the mythical Nintendo Switch 2, whenever that comes out, that's probably going to have a lot of the games that were first verified for the Steam Deck, like Devil May Cry 5, Elden Ring, God of War. They're probably going to have a lot of those types of games on Nintendo Switch 2, but it's still not going to be worth it, in my opinion, because I'm going to have to pay another $60 for it. It's not going to be linked to any account I already own. For the Steam Deck, it kind of pays for itself. I would have paid $1,000 for the Steam Deck because I have so many games that are verified. It pretty much pays for itself, and considering what else you can do with that system, it's probably the most valuable handheld you'll ever own. And I will miss physical games, obviously. But yes, I 200% recommend the Steam Deck. This thing is the future of handhelds, and from what I've played so far, it is the most impressive handheld in history, regardless of the other very impressive competition out there. But even if people say you can't compare the two, you really can compare the two, because they are the two biggest handhelds on the market right now. You have to compare them. Is it a real competitor with the Nintendo Switch? I'm gonna say, from my perspective right now, there's some points where I play a game on Steam, on the Steam Deck, like BioShock, Metro 2033, and I just feel like selling my Nintendo Switch right there, just throwing it away, just to buy more games on the Steam Deck and to buy more SD cards so I could have more games on the Steam Deck. So because of that thought, I'm gonna say yes.
Again.
Yes. Say it again.
Yes!
Make me believe it.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
And I would be surprised if it wasn't a competitor to the Nintendo Switch. But when it comes to Nintendo, some people would say it doesn't matter because they're not competing with people. But at the same time, there's a reason why the Wii U failed. It's because other platforms did it better. So yes, I would say right now that I was actually wrong about the Steam Deck being a real competitor, the fact that it's a PC. It is still a PC, but is it enough of a PC to warrant getting a Nintendo Switch over it? I would say if you get a Nintendo Switch over a Steam Deck and you're an adult, you're stupid.
You're stupid!
Oh, Billy, why you gotta be like that?
Period. Yes, I'm making a full 180 on this because honestly, I thought there would be a lot more issues because it is a PC, but it is like a PC console hybrid. And everything that the Steam Deck is starting by existing is something I can't even predict. It's starting something that the Nintendo Switch wanted to start, and it's going to revolutionize PC gaming forever, which in turn is going to make the mod community even bigger. It's going to make third-party and open source support even more ubiquitous. Possibilities are amazing, and the fact that it's going to introduce a lot more console gamers to PC, I don't even know what kind of thought that is. There's no category for the kind of thought that I have for the fact that it's introducing people to PC. That's profoundly insane. So anyway, I'll stop the ramble. Just go get one if you can. Any way you can. Just get it. But don't give those scalpers money. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Steam Deck. If you have the Steam Deck, let me know what you plan to do with it, how your time is going with it, and tell me how wrong I am down below. I'll probably delete the whole Steam Deck videos because I was wrong, and you know what? I'm not mad that I was wrong. I wanted to be wrong about the Steam Deck. Just wanted to let you know that this system is the real deal. That's it. See you guys in the next one. Later.